Welcome everyone to Content Marketing Small Business Basics with the City of Mississauga. I'm Laura Dunkley, the Digital Marketing Consultant at the City of Mississauga Small Business Center. This webinar is put on to support you as an entrepreneur as you move forward in your digital marketing success for your business. So as part of the Mississauga Business Enterprise Center, we're a central source for small business information, resources, and guidance. Currently, we are all available remotely to serve you, and you can find all our contact information at mississauga.ca/MBEC. One of the services that we provide are webinars such as this. We also have a small business consultant available and myself to support you one-on-one consultations, and we have some great online resources to take you through different steps. And if you can't find what you're looking for, you can always contact us for support. So the one website to remember is mississauga.ca/MBEC. And this is a little bit about me, my background of entrepreneurship over 20 years. I've been an entrepreneur and a communications consultant for the last few years, and I encourage you, please, to reach out to me on social. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, at Laura L. Dunkley, and you can also see additional resources for digital marketing as I blog on lauradunkley.com, as well as my Mississauga email is here, and feel free to reach out to me when you have any questions. As mentioned, we do some online webinars. Here's the latest list of things coming up. Business planning, how to write a business plan is our next one. Really important, as you'll see as we come through here. If you have a business plan, it's much easier to create and more effective to create your digital marketing plan. So I encourage you all to sign up for that one. If we have any musicians, or if you know of some musicians that are wanting to build their online brand, the end of July we have one. And then the boot camp. That is going to follow up after today. It's going to focus more on how to build your own digital marketing plan and some tips and tricks and tools, including a template that I will send to all of our participants to use. We have a CRA information session, really important information for entrepreneurs, so don't miss out on that one in August. Food and beverage specific getting started business. And we have a new networking virtual event, and Brittany is the one who's leading that, so if you have any questions, we will send you over to her. So mississauga.ca/smallbusinesstraining is where you can find the information for that. And then the Starter Company Plus program. It's our entrepreneur program that is starting up now. Applications will open after the information session. So those key dates at the bottom is what you need to know. mississauga.ca/startercompanyplus is where you'll find all the information. And you must attend one of those info sessions to be eligible, potentially to come into the program. So check out all the eligibility information and the key dates and join us on one of those if you're interested. Mississauga Made is another initiative through the city, supported by Economic Development Office. And if you are a local entrepreneur in the Mississauga area and want to put yourself up on that directory, check it out. thefuturesunlimited.ca/MississaugaMade is where you can get more information about that. And Digital Main Street Shop here, a new initiative to support our entrepreneurs, especially during this crisis. And what it is, it's part of the Digital Main Street program, powered by Google, supported by Shopify. If you are looking to put your business online, this is the potential one to work for you. But there are some eligibility requirements, so check that out for information. And it's an amazing support. You can get people have volunteered to support in the digital marketing world to help you put this website together. So that is another initiative to be aware of. And also during this time, the City of Mississauga's Economic Development Office, our research team scours the internet, knows all the connections, has done their best to pull all these resources available for our business owners into one central location. And that is thefuturesunlimited.ca/COVID-19. And there's success stories, there's resources, countermeasures. You can filter things. They've really done a good job, and they keep it updated. So if you're looking for more information, please have a look at that website. Okay, we're going to get started. So here's the agenda. It's pretty long, so we're going to go fast track through certain sections more than others. We do have a poll that's going to help me sort of figure out which sections to focus on the most, but we're going to start with what is content marketing and why do we even do it? That's really important. How to create a simple plan, and if you've noticed, I've put it in quotations because it's not a simple plan. This is something that will be constantly evolving, and you're going to fine-tune things that work best for you, but it'll be a starting point. How do you then manage your content plan? We're going to touch on a few scenarios to give you an example of real-life campaigns and content and how that works for them within your plan. And then at the end, we're going to tie it up with just a few tips on how to create key content. And know that each of these bullets could have its entire section just on these. So we're just going to touch on the content, but I think they'll help and they'll give you some tips. So let's get started. As part of the digital marketing plan that we have here, it's 7 steps to success. If you do these, it will help you fine-tune your entire digital marketing strategy, and content falls into that. And it's something to think about through the whole stage, but great content comes after your plan, and then you have to make sure you have your right channels. So we're going to touch on a few of those topics throughout, but great content is why we're here. So what is content marketing? This is one of the best definitions that I found out there, and it's a strategic marketing approach, and it's focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to support your brand goals. Remember that, because as we go through, it will be a constant theme throughout about creating value, making sure it's relevant for your audience, and then being consistent. So here it is in visuals. You have a business. People have questions. So how are you going to get that information to the people? You've got to set up those channels. You've got your website, social media, traditional news this looks like print, but there are online news articles. There's a variety of channels. And then on those channels, we're going to create content. Depending on what channel, what your goals are, there's things like blogs, articles, videos. All that content is pushed through those channels to your audience. They have their answers. And that translates to an increase in bottom line. So that is the goal of content marketing. So now we have a time for poll. If everyone wants to check, it should be in your sidebar to take the poll. Okay, so what are your greatest challenges with content marketing? This is what I want to know. Converting to sales? Is it finding the time to get it done? Is it the budget? Like, is it a money challenge? Or is it knowing what type of content to create? It could be all, but pick what is the greatest challenge for you. And then the second question is, what kind of content do you create currently? And you can check as many boxes as you want in this one. Is it YouTube or Vimeo, which is longer video content? Are you doing short, quick social media videos? Are you writing blogs? Are you just doing social media graphics? Is that all that you have time to do, or that's where your focus is? Are you creating infographics, which is information provided in a visual graphic? Are you doing a lot of photography? What about white papers? And white papers are long decision, mostly your B2B for our B2B consultants, and those organizations will do larger white papers or ebooks. Are you writing case studies or success stories? And what about webinars, like such as this? It's or a presentation for a different audience that you will publish publicly. So check all the boxes that apply. So it appears knowing what type of content to create and converting to sales is at a bit of a tie. And this is a time limit, so if you can jump on there, as many people as possible, and do this, I will share this out afterwards the polling information. So finding the time, 15% finding the time. It's very rare that budget, and I'm encouraged to see that budget is not the greatest challenge, because much of the content you guys already have. It's not, doesn't need to cost a lot of money to create content. So I'm glad you guys see that already. And polls are closed, so it looks like knowing what type of content to create leads the way at 45%. Converting to sales is 34%. Finding the time is 15%, and only 2% for budget. So what kind of content, do we, oh, no, it's just me. What kind of content do you currently create? We have a lot of social media graphics at 45%. We have blogs at 34%, photography at 26%, videos on YouTube at 15%. That's great. And then infographics, I missed those, 21%. Quite a few of you are doing those. And of course, I have to scroll down here. Photography, 26%. White papers, 4%. Case studies, 4%. And webinars, presentations, 15%. That's good. I would like to see more of you doing case studies. And when I say case studies, success stories. And success stories, because I'm going to show you why, because you can create some really good testimonial and building social proof afterwards in a micro way. So hopefully there'll be a few more of you doing that afterwards. There we go. Okay, so those are the first two questions. We have a couple more. What informs your content marketing plan? So when you're thinking about what kind of content to create, are you going out and looking into industry research or research that's out there in thought leadership? Are you looking at your social media insights from work you've already done to inform you what's working, what's not working? Are you looking into Google Analytics? Are you looking at your web traffic? What landing pages are they going on? Things like that to inform your decisions. Do you have a consultant or advisor that you seek advice from? And do you go out and ask your customers, or is it from comments that they make? This is a multi-select too. And how far ahead do you plan your content? This is tough. And I will say you pick one, because sometimes it can vary between different seasons or depending on workloads. But do you do it once a year? Do you do it every 6 months? Every 3 months? Once a month? Do you do it weekly? Is this just you wake up on Monday or some day and just plan out your content for the week? Or are you just randomly doing it, which means you don't have a plan? And I see feedback from customers is leading the way. 68% currently. Industry research, 55%. Social media, 42%. Okay, they're still coming in. Wait a couple minutes. Okay, so it's closed, and the leader is feedback from customers is 57%. Industry research is 49%. We have results from social media at 41%. Results from your Google Analytics website traffic, 16%, and you and advisor is 12%. So most of you are doing this on your own, which is excellent, and we're going to talk about your team coming up. Then feedback from customers, that means you're listening, and that's really important to feeding what type of content you should be using or what's going to be effective. And then as far as it appears that most people don't have a plan at 45%, 20% weekly, and 18% monthly. And there's 2% of you that plan your year out. I'm impressed. As long as you modify it throughout the months and adjust, because it's really hard to create a content plan in a year and then making sure it's current. But having that framework for a year is a really good idea. Every 3 months, once a month, 18%. So it is hard. It's a challenge, and we're going to talk a little bit about a plan. So thanks for the polling questions. I hope that was insightful for you guys as well. So why are we doing content marketing in the first place? Because our time is money as entrepreneurs, so we want to make sure we're going to get a return on investment. 3 times the leads compared to traditional marketing. So that's pretty important when it comes to building lead generations and bottom line. And buyers are also willing to exchange their information, and that would be the phone number, industry that they're in, or potentially an email address. And this is what the stats are saying. 76% for white papers, 79% for webinars, 63% for ebooks, 57% for case studies, and 66% for reports. And what I want to point out here is this is big content, macro content. So this is what we're going to talk about when we're doing our planning is we have these large pieces of content, and then we want to leverage them, repurpose them, break it down to create smaller content to support that. Because leads is where the money is, and if they're willing to give information, that could be one of your goals, and it seems to be working, as the stats have said. So 4 times more than paid campaigns. So it's important you have to pay to play, as many of you have heard, but know that having an organic, strong campaign will generate 4 times more leads per $1,000 within 3 months. So that is important. So always make sure you have that organic foundation, and then you pay to supplement and help support. And lead quality and quantity improved. And part of that is we're going to talk about the funnel. And it's that you're educating that client, working them through the thought process, so when they come to you to buy, they know exactly what they want, or they're already pre-educated and ask quality questions to save you time. And it's working. So what is considered content? This is just a high level just to throw out there, and sometimes we forget what it is. It can be a podcast. Podcast is a channel, but when you create a podcast, that is content. Photos, presentations you've done before that you can maybe throw up on SlideShare, which then links to LinkedIn. You have different maps, which if that is relevant to your audience, that could work. Projects, mobile applications, physical signage is really important, and how do you think of it in an omni-channel way? If you're doing your digital content marketing strategy, how do you leverage your physical signage and marketing so that it's a holistic plan? And popular content, which is always a good point, and I do believe in going out there and looking at some research to see what other people are doing to support your initial strategy. And for business to consumer, social media posts are important, videos. They're looking for illustrations, photos, infographics, and very importantly, interactive content. This is where content supports your social media efforts in the fact that you're looking for engagements and insights with your audience. And business to business is a little bit different, but social media posts still lead the way. Case studies are really important, which is case study success stories, because they want to see some validation of the work you've done, that you're capable, and you want to also see if your customers are happy before they invest in your work. Videos, ebooks, white papers, because they have a longer decision-making process, some of these pieces of content really helps. And infographics, as it visualizes us, we tend to, most of us, be quite visual learners. It just simplifies it. We can retain it faster, and an infographic gives us that data. And we're going to show you an example of that. So what do you want to achieve when you get into your content strategy? There's 3 key areas when you're thinking of topics and the goals out of this. The first one is lead generation, and that's where at the end of the day we want to convert them to sales. But you also want to create content to help build your brand. And this is reputation, things that show that you're a thought leader. You want to be a resource for people. You're not always going to be selling. And quite frankly, your brand and your community building is about 75%, if I have to throw out a number, percentage-wise, where your lead generation could be much smaller. Again, putting this down into numbers like that it's really hard because it will all depend on what your business plan is and what your strategy is. But make sure you have a mix of all of these 3 topics. So you want to build your brand, which is the who, what, why, and where of you as a business. Then you also want to create content that builds your community. If you're a musician, it's building your fans. If you are part of, when I had the bike shop for 20 years, a large part of what we did was build our community of cyclists. And then the shop came afterwards. We provided them with information, product, but it was about creating this club feeling and giving them information about how to ride, doing tips, taking them out, and giving them a newsletter about things that was important to them. And we went out in the community. We did different things in that way, and that built our community, and they supported us through many years. So make sure that when you're doing your social and you're in the virtual world, it's the same thing. So you want to think about that's where interactive content is, showcasing behind the scenes, really get to know who your audience is. So keep those 3 in mind when you're doing your content strategy. So for the sales funnel, really great content at the end of the day. We want to get a return on investment. Take this away. This is a big chunk and a lot to remember, but it will inform your plan. So top of the funnel, where you spend a lot of time, is things to build awareness about your business. And then what is the content that will help them through the consideration stage? Are they the right fit for us? Is it the right product? Is that piece of furniture going to fit in my house? Is it the music that I love? Is that consultant really understand my business? And then you want to go, okay, I believe in you, but I need to know if you're the right fit for me. Is it the right price? Do you have time available? All of those different decision-making process. And then at the end, you want to build out that loyal customer base. So they're going to buy from you. They're going to have a great experience. You've provided value. You've built trust. And you've had this experience that goes on continually because you want them to keep coming back as returning customers. And your content will feed that. And how you're going to manage the metrics for that, it's going to be traffic to your website and your content, followers, things like that. Consideration is going to be leads. Maybe they're filling out a form on your website. Decision is they've decided to buy. They're a one-time deal. They've given you money. And then loyalty is, are they sticking around? So again, the building awareness, the education aspect, that is the kind of content you want to create. The goal for the second level is you're going to get them interested, and they're going to consider your solution. And then they're going to build a business case, buy from you, and become loyal customers. And if they're not just your customers, you want them. This is where the Google reviews and referrals come in, because they've had an amazing experience. They're going to give you 5 stars. They're going to make comments, and they're going to refer you to their friends and colleagues. And content's going to help drive that through the funnel. So where do you get these content ideas? A lot of it is you guys have it already. You're doing the work. You're out there in the community. You're providing services. You're writing blogs. You're doing case studies. You're doing infographics. All of that is you have it. And sometimes you already have done it from before. So I would go back and look at some of the blogs that were working, and maybe you repurpose them. Bring them up, bring them fresh. So that's somewhere you can do that. And then repurposing them is, bringing them forward, but also taking them out, creating from a blog post. You've got a social media thing. Maybe you create a video out of it. Maybe you do an audio and you go onto SoundCloud and you can add that audio feature. So look first to your own content and see what you're doing in your business. If you have pivoted and you're providing a new service to support this current economy, talk about it. What are you doing? Take pictures, write stories, whatever you can do, get it out there. Even if it's not specific to that, just review your business activities. Your customers, you already mentioned that you are getting feedback from your customers. What can you do from that? Maybe they're telling you, oh, I need more information, or they're asking you a lot of questions. If you have clients that are asking you the same question over and over again, write a blog about it, put it on a frequently asked questions on your website, so other people can find it organically through search, and also you can send a link, and it's a potential of a business development. And I've spent a lot of time doing B2B sales, so I do understand that as well as B2C. So you can take that, go onto LinkedIn and go, hey, I just wrote an article. I thought this would be interesting to you. It's not a hard sell. It's just you are providing value. So you can get that information, send it out to other people that may have that question, and now you're answering it. So that is one place to do that, and that's what we call owned content. It's original. It's yours. You may have been inspired by other things out there, but you have now come together and created your own content. And then curated is also when you share other things. So industry leaders, that is a lot of information. What are they talking about? What's happening in your community? You can go out and curate this information and share, and you filter through it because you know your audience, and you're going to send out maybe on a Twitter post, or you're going to write a blog or do a short video. You're out in the it depends on what you're doing, but you're out and about in the community and sharing valuable information. Your competitors, I don't encourage sharing competitor information, but to get inspiration and see who's following them, what are they talking about. There's things like that you can glean from your competitors. Google Trends, what's trending? If you can get into what is the latest breaking news, too, and then be able to be first to the table, Google does favor that. So you've got a breaking news story, you've taken it, you've repurposed it, you potentially can share it if that makes sense, and that would be curated, or you can turn it into owned content and provide feedback and insights onto that latest trend. So that's a possibility. There's also sites such as BuzzSumo, it is paid, where they will tell you what the most popular content pieces are. So you can use that for inspiration. Look at your social media insights. You've already said you're doing that. That can be ideas for future content. Ask the public. I'm going to show you on the next slide. And then there's social media calendars out there. So I really encourage everyone to go out and look for different key dates that are relevant to your business. You have your own sales key dates, which is, you're going to a trade show, or you have a sales promo coming up, or you have a webinar like this. But then throughout that, you have your industry-specific social calendars. So my passion is sustainability, and previous to this, I spoke and wrote about, and that was really important to my business model, my vision and values. So I would make sure that I had Earth Day, I had different dates throughout the year that I would stay tuned to and write articles about and then share that information. So it's annually, I do encourage you. That is something that I would put up there and get inspiration for. So ask the public, a free tool that's out there, and you just have to put in a topic. And what they're going to do from that word, I use sustainability. It came up with all of these questions. So now if you want an idea for content, will sustainability fly? When was sustainability principles approved for adoption? Okay, so now you can go and do some research about that. And this is from the public. They have crowdsourced all of these questions and put them together for you. So a great resource. If you are lacking content ideas, check it out. So we talked about content, so topics and themes. And when you do your plan, you will want to make sure the topics and themes are right for your business. So what topics support your brand? What does your ideal client find interesting? And how can you be a resource for your audience? That goes into that brand building. And then what are you selling? That's also topics. Don't just do the top of the funnel. If you're selling a product, how does it work? Why is it leading edge? Really, you can focus in on that as well, because that's what's going to convert at the end of the day. And I'm going to leave this slide for you for afterwards, but if you want ideas for lead generation, brand, and general interest, there's a bunch of them here to have a look at on your own time. And know that there's different channels. This is how we promote it. So putting a blog up there and just going, okay, now I hope someone will come and find it. Or you do a video and it's out on YouTube, and YouTube's a great search engine, I'll give you that, but you want to bring traffic to it. So there are different ways to do it. You can take that video, embed it on your website. Google loves when you embed videos on your website. That's an extra bonus, but that's different ways you can do it, leveraging your owned platforms, including social media. So paid is when you supplement it and you go out there and you buy some digital ads, or you pay an influencer to promote your product. And then earned is where, again, we talked about that sweet spot in the digital marketing, and that's where you can't really pay. Like a referral, a shout out, a share, a Google review, things like that, they're so valuable. And what I say is just keep being excellent, engaging with your audience to make sure you know what's value, appreciate what they're doing, and then your crowd will grow and your fans will grow and they will share it. So that is your fans, but there's also media. So if you are releasing something big, a new album, you've just invented something, or you've just launched a new product line, this could be media worthy. You can send it out to the media and potentially get picked up. So that would be considered earned as well. And here's a list I'm just going to leave with you for afterwards. It's quite a list, but there's content ideas, different ways to promote, distribute, and get earned. So what are the success factors? You do need to plan. So all of you who haven't done any planning, please consider this. I'm going to show you some simple ideas for doing the plan. You've got to create. You have to spend the time to do that. You have to promote it, pay to play, and then make sure you're evaluating your success and learn, adapt, and then redo. So be consistent is another key thing. Share, inform, engage, and persuade. So the plan. This is part of what we're going to talk about in the digital marketing bootcamp. But know that you have to have an overall plan for your marketing, your business plan, and then your marketing strategy. Because as you build out your content, it will need to support that. And you do need a team. It can be just a team of one to start with, and that's okay. That's you. But there are opportunities to get valuable insights and support without a lot of money. And I say hire them at the right time. So what does that look like? Contract consultant or an employee. That's more of a dedicated monthly budget that you're going to set aside when it makes sense for you, that you can get that ongoing support, because digital changes constantly and you still have to work your business. I mean, this is content and all of that is great to work on your business, to be able to get the word out, but you have to still be great at what you do and focus on that. So to grow, to scale your business, you will need support. And that contracted consultant, quite often they're going to say, well, what is your budget? What's your monthly budget? And because I'm the expert, I'm going to give you and help you build out a plan that works for your budget to help you scale your business, because that's their expertise. So please do consider that. If you want an employee to hire in, that's another consistent way to do it, and it will all depend on a budget, on your budget long term. There's benefits to going either way. And then there's also as needed. So even this can be a combined effort, or it's one or the other. It could be you because you have time, you have the expertise, you can do most of it, but sometimes with the big content, you're going to need some help, and you want to keep it professional. And what does that mean? That could be a freelancer who's a graphic designer. That could be someone who has video editing skills that can package things together in a professional way. Those are one-offs. So consider this as part of your team. And where do you get that information? You can always come to us. We're here to support you and direct you. We can't actually do the work for you at MBEC, but we definitely can help you build out your strategies. And there's also things like Upwork, Fiverr. Those are these online places where you can find one-off freelancers. Social media. Go out there, do the research. Just Google in social media expert and find someone local or someone that fits your industry. Ask for referrals if you know someone who's had success. Who are you using? You put out an ad. You can also contact the local colleges. So I do want to do a shout out to Sheridan College because they are here in Mississauga and have a digital marketing program. They also have an entrepreneur hub called The Edge, and they are a hot spot for learning and developing people in the digital marketing world. So if a student is what you're looking for, you might want to check out them or your local college as well. And where can you learn? Because I'll tell you, you still have to be the contractor of your own brand. Even if you hire it out, even if you scale, some of the largest organizations still have that CEO that's overseeing your brand strategy. So continue to learn. Take webinars such as this. There's online tutorials like lynda.com. There's YouTube. Lynda.com is also LinkedIn Learning. And then again, your local college, you could go and take some courses. So get to know your audience. I'm going to leave this with you because this is an overview of ways to learn a little bit more about your audience, but it appears that this group of people, which I'm totally impressed with again, that you are in touch with your customer and you're listening to them, and this is a constantly evolving thing. If you are not, and during this COVID crisis, I will say, please go and reevaluate your audience, see where they are, because their challenges now are not going to have been the same challenges a year ago. The things that motivate them, very different. And you want to know how you can help them. What's your solution? What media are they using? Because I'll tell you too, if you love LinkedIn, and that's your platform of choice, but your business, all your audience are on Facebook, whether you want to be there or not, you need to go where your audience is. In digital marketing, to be successful, you need to be customer-centric. So think about it, listen to them, and be where they are. And there's a bunch of different research avenues over here, including surveys, interviews. Call out to your customers and get to know them. So how do you get started? Just to recap, and I've mentioned some of these, but check out your key dates on your sales. What's your business plan look like? What are those goals, those milestones you want to do? What are those key dates? Because you need that to be able to backtrack your content plan. Select the topics of interest for your brand and stick to it. Those are going to be the key things as part of your strategy, and your plan will build out from there. Plan your big content first, and then you're going to get into the smaller content from that. And I do encourage at least 3 months of content in advance, and it can just be the big, and I'm talking about the big stuff, because the reason is you need to create that micro stuff to be able to promote it and backtrack it. So 3 months it's a general guideline, but try and stick within that. And then doesn't mean 1 month isn't any good, but then weekly you can update in real time. Work backwards from those key topics. Channel strategy, make sure you have a strategy already in place on how you're going to use LinkedIn, how are you going to use Instagram, are you going to do stories, things like that, and then how are you going to supplement. So that's that overall strategy for the whole year, and then you can build out your plan. And that actually you evaluate it every year. It might change and it might stay the same. And set up those key milestones so you know that if what you're doing is helping you on track for your business. And then review and learn and adapt. So tracking performance, I'm going to leave this with you guys to review later, but the key things are, did you reach your goal? Are you getting in touch with people? How are they responding to you? And what kind of content is working? What kind of content isn't? And some of these metrics will help you identify to see what's working. And at the beginning of your plan, make sure you set these metrics up so that you have the right tools in place. Facebook has something called Pixels, and that's where you can start tracking. If you're going to use Google Analytics, you need to make sure you have tracking code on your website. You can't backtrack. So that's why I say make sure you have this at the beginning as part of your plan. So Google Analytics can be traffic from whatever channel you're using, but also check out the landing pages. What content are they digesting? Are they going through the call to action? What's their path through the website? So this is the quick plan. You need to have your goals, figure out your audience. What are you going to create? Resources, how are you going to distribute? How are you going to promote, manage, measure, and adjust? This is the one screen. If you have to remember, use this because it's going to be that quick. Stick it up on the wall and reminder to have the main plan, and then weekly or monthly, or for each campaign, you're making sure you hit all of this information. And this template is a giveaway. You guys can have this, use this however you want to use it. And what it does is it just gives you a snapshot of the things that you need to have in your plan. So what the top part is, it is how often are you going to be doing this? What is your key strategies? What is that main content that you're going to create? And from there, you can pull out the kind of micro content that you're going to use out of, say, the blog series, and you're going to do social media graphics to promote it. You're going to create a little video. And then how are you going to pay? What kind of promotion are you going to use? Or maybe you don't and you leave it blank. But this is a template that I hope you could use or adapt it to your business. So after you have that plan, now what I would say, throw it up into an editorial calendar. There are things that you need to have just to stay on track. And content to publish, you may have all of these, you may have some of these, but the more important thing is that you have key dates, you have your themes established, you know when you're going to publish, and you know what kind of content you need to do, what kind of metrics. So how you do this will depend on your style of planning. You might want to use a paper or digital plan. I'm not promoting this, but it is one that I did check out because I do look around the internet to see what's out there and what's available. And I've concluded that there is no perfect editorial calendar and there's no perfect way to create a plan. You just have to go and find what works for you. But there are things like this that is a paid solution, a content creator's planner, and it is a paper solution. They also have a digital. And what they do is they have monthly campaigns, weekly, monthly content calendars, and then statistics. That's just one version of a planner. The other way you can do it, if you like Excel, I have a free template that I've used for years. And I keep trying to update it and change it, but at the end of the day, it still works for me. And then what happens is then you can still put in whatever columns if you want to add to that. So this quite often I have used as a planning document. However, I have discovered this online tool. So this is where I will use Excel or I'll use a whiteboard, whatever it takes for planning, and then I put it up into Asana because as the team grows, you want to have a collaborative platform, and it is a free tool with paid versions, and it has a way to see timelines, Gantt, calendar views, and you can even use the Kanban where you can move projects, especially with content, where you have it in the design stage or the concept stage. You've started to design it, it's ready to promote, and it's completed, and you can move things through. Again, it's whatever works for you. And then once you have that content plan in place, there's things like Hootsuite, or you can just schedule it natively, but this is a platform that lets you do schedule a bunch of posts for different platforms and then send it out. They don't do Instagram well, but there's also a program called Plan That if you want to do individual ones for Instagram. So it's finding sometimes a hybrid version and then figuring out what works for you, how to schedule it. And this is a quick scenario because I did promise that I would show examples. And you can look into this more afterwards. Keep it, there's a lot to read, but basically at the end of the day, this is as if this was your business. This is a wellness business, and what has happened is they've done things in person, and during COVID, they've had to pivot to a virtual world. It is a fictitious company, just know that. I just built these out for scenario purposes. So they've gone virtual. So what have they done? What have part of their evaluation is what channels do I have? Okay, we have a website. We have all of these channels, and we do a podcast. We also have a Google business listing. We have an events calendar, and we have email marketing. We're going to make sure everything is updated with content and the information to talk about this new service. And then what am I going to do after that for this business? Okay, so we are decided for this business that we're going to do a free webinar series in September. They're going to have to get website leads to be able to get people to sign up. They're going to get social media, and they're going to do a bit of PR. So this is a snapshot of what could look like for a content marketing strategy based on this. You're going to talk about the channels that you're going to use, what type of content is going to go on those channels, how frequently are you going to post, what budget do I need? Is it going to be an initial setup like a web page, a landing page, because that's really important when you do a focused campaign like this? And then do I have a budget for monthly? It's a snapshot. It's an example. Another example of a scenario could be that you're a business consultant and you are in the startup stage. So you need to have goals. You need to know who your audience is, what kind of content, distribute, and measure. Remember that one slide that had all of those things around the plan? Now you need to make sure you fill that out. It can be as simple as a chart like this. What are the goals I want to achieve for my business? How is my marketing goals going to support it? Who's my audience? What is all that content? Content can't be ever in isolation. It always has to support your marketing and your business goals. And then what are the channels that I have to distribute it, and how am I going to measure success? For a B2C company, like say a flower shop, it's the same. It's the same categories, but the content and the information and the strategy is going to be different. The goals could be that you want to get ready for the holiday season. So you need to promote in-season flowers and a workshop between October and December. We fine-tuned the audience. We know what kind of content we want to create. How am I going to distribute it? Sometimes it's a new channel. Sometimes it's on an existing channel. If you already have an audience on an existing channel, always leverage that first. And then how are you going to measure success? So this is another example of what could be a campaign content strategy. So this is an example of a real life. It was from a while ago, and it was surprisingly a window company, Velux.ca, Canadian company, and they decided that it wasn't there. We were going to do a campaign that was about supporting their audience and speaking to the indoor generation. So it wasn't about selling product. It was about building awareness about the indoor generation. So they have on their website this key piece of content, which is the header. Then they've created this entire campaign, all the visuals. They've photography, they have graphics, they have written content about the facts about indoor generation. So these are people spending so much time. How do we help them stay healthy? And windows are important. And they know this. This is why it supports their brand. They created videos on this, the challenges they have. They've created content on their website. They did a bunch of blogs about that. And remember we talked about the funnel that they worked people through. They built awareness, and then people are now realizing, oh my goodness, this is a real challenge we have for the indoor generation. So how now can we support them? They've never talked about sales, but it's visual, it's there, and it's obvious as they work them through. They've also made sure their content on their website is, if you've convinced me to buy from you, I need to know where to buy from you. So they have all of their stores online, and then they have their social media content to be consistent with the brand all the way across, and this is where they're sharing. We also have it on Instagram, and you see how the visuals are consistent about its lifestyle. It's eliciting emotions. So this person, they're showing, and all of this will go back to, if you notice, on their Instagram, they don't have it going back to their sales page. It actually goes back to the indoors generation, which is building that community of awareness. This was their strategy, and they have hashtags to be able to get people that are also interested in these things who are searching on it, and they've leveraged Instagram for to build out their audience and using the tools that are available. So we have a strong visual, we have a good caption, and we have all the hashtags. And then Facebook is similar. So that is one marketing campaign and tips on how to make sure your content is consistent and how powerful the content is to make sure it builds towards that goal that you want to achieve. This is a local business in Port Credit and one of our success stories from the city of Mississauga. And what they offer is virtual parties now. So if you notice, they did in painting parties in person, and they pivoted during COVID to now create virtual parties. So they made sure that all that information was on their channel. That is content. A header is content. The visuals are content. All that information was updated. And even this is their menu, the Studio Wine Bar menu was added. And now, because they offer this service, they have, oh my goodness, they have pictures of great food. They have a whole list of a menu. So if I know what kind of food I'm going to get when I get there, that is content. What does it look like? It's now enticing me to come. They've written blogs about why to paint with dad. So it's general building of content. They've updated their Facebook. They've kept their events current on their Facebook, which is content. And their Instagram is current as well, showing pictures of food, paintings, and also the owner there. So this is a way to see from end to end how your content can support your brand consistently and support your goals to build your brand, to build your community, and to drive sales. So before we go into this, I'm going to just check questions. Amanpreet and Brittany, do we have any questions before we head over?
No questions at this time.
Okay. Anyone? A couple minutes? Nope. Okay. So that's all the great planning stuff. The planning, and it's heavy, it's big, and I will say keep it simple, but be consistent when you're doing your posting and create some kind of plan. You may have an annual plan and then break it down into monthly. Even if you have a weekly plan, try and stretch it out just so you have some forward thinking, that you're not scrambling for content ideas as best you can. And this is a work in progress. People don't become experts overnight, and there are experts out there that it's their entire world. So if this is not your strength, do it the best you can, and then seek support where you can get it. And if you have any questions beyond this webinar, feel free to reach out to me. So tips on how to create great content. Make sure you elicit a response of quick and be unexpected, of something that is surprising to them, or, oh my goodness, I had no idea about that answer. So being unexpected can help with great content. Make sure that you get to the point. People's attention spans, especially now, especially in video, you want to get that hook right away. Let them know what you're going to present. You understand what their challenge is, and make it emotional and make them want to stay for the rest of the video. So quick, get to the point. Now, there are videos that are meant to be educational and longer, and I will say it's not a time point. But even with some lengthy videos that are educational on a B2B level perhaps, or that are more technical, still get rid of all the extra content that is not needed and keep to the facts. Even Harvard Business Review is it's long. You know your audience. They're long articles, but it's broken out in headings, so I can scan it, and it's very succinct in the articles when they're writing. So do get to the point as fast as you can. Tap into emotions, and I will say don't tap into angry emotions. Don't get into anything that's negative in that way, unless it really makes sense for your brand. But I have yet to see the scenario that will work. You can get them passionate about a new cause, but keep it positive. And humor is one of the best things that you can do. Laughter, what social media, the algorithms really want is content that is shareable. So most people will share humorous things. They want to share good news stories, which is why I say if you have success stories and there's good news stories out there, share them. People like to be seen in them. They like to know their community is doing good work, and that is a possibility as well. So tap into emotions. Tell a story, just like when we were in grade school, beginning, middle, and end. Not only does that help follow the path through to keep my attention, but it also makes it memorable. Think mobile. Just know that everyone's reading things on a much smaller screen. So when you're designing your content, consider it for that and make sure everything is responsive and it goes down into mobile. Be timely. Watch. That's where you have to watch the trends and things that are going on. If you want great content, be timely. Be relevant. Make sure you know your audience, and think engagement. Don't just push out content. Think about how that content potentially can create conversations and comments. And this is one example if you want to check this out afterwards. This is P&G, did this quite a while ago, but I will tell you, it's not about selling, but the emotions in this video is so compelling. It was during the Olympics. They did the hashtag, and it just went, wow, P&G cares enough to do this. And that was their goal, and sometimes that's the most important. So check this out and get some inspiration. So when you're doing your content, make sure you're branding consistently. I've seen this far too many times that I will go to a Facebook page off a website. I'm going, I don't think I landed on that right Facebook page because the logo's not the same, the colors aren't the same, I don't see the same vibe or different style of language the same. You want to make sure anytime your audience finds you anywhere that your content is branded consistently. So be consistent with that. Make sure it's relevant. Make sure that it's original, and keep your brand as simple as possible, especially in the mobile world. Your website is important. This is not a website 101 course, but I will say check out that link. There's a whole article on getting started with designing your first website. And even if you currently have a website, the tips will help you audit to make sure that you have the information you need, especially if you're going to work with a designer. It does give you some tips on how to prepare for that. And some templates. Maybe you're doing it yourself. There are so many site builders out there that have templates already done. It's a great starting point. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Go check out a template. Again, remember, be consistent with your brand. So you're going to have your logos, you're going to have your colors, you're going to have your style and your style boards, and know what you want to have, and then you can just drag and drop and plug it in. So they're not meant to be complicated, but make sure your website is branded consistently and has the right information. And what is the right information? What does that information need to look like? You need to make sure on your website that you have high resolution, quality photography. It's not like social media where they can change a little bit. It's more fun. Your website is your core brand. It's the hub of everything. You need to also make sure that you reduce the size enough that the page load speed is quick. Google wants you to have your page load speed quite quickly. So a way to reduce some of your image sizes is to use a program called TinyJPEG. That's what I've used. I'm sure there's other ones that are out there. Reduce that size so that it will load properly. Add alt tags to those images. Make sure you save them. You file name them properly. Don't just have image 156 dot, whatever. It's just you have to name it what it is. That's an important thing. Hyperlink the images if you can. If it's, say, it's in an email or it's the link goes to something else, make sure that hyperlink is put in there. Make sure it's easy to read. Again, the attention span. It's got to be fast, short, succinct paragraphs. Keywords are important for Google to search, but also for your audience to read. They want to make sure they've landed on that right page, so use their language and keywords for Google, and also create a backlink strategy. And the backlink strategy is links that come from outside to yours, but also when you're building out your content, you want to make sure they're linking to relevant content through your website, so you are taking them through the user path that you want to take them through. So user experience is really important. And what does that mean? We talked about pages loading quickly. It can be read on mobile. It's easy to navigate, including breadcrumbs at the top so that you can see the path if you have to backdate. So especially in product, if you have an e-commerce site, you can get totally dig in deep to product information. So make sure they can always find their way back. User experience is one of the most important things that you can consider, because Google, even with the algorithms, they're thinking user experience first. So make sure you know clearly and quickly that they've reached the right place when they landed on it, that it's like, oh, okay, I've just done an ad. It's landing on a page. Don't ever let your ads land on your homepage. It doesn't make any sense. So you want a very targeted ad. It's going to go to a landing page and then go, oh, okay, I've landed on the right page. I know exactly what I need to do. I'm on the right place. I have the information I need to make my buying decision. So that is really important for your website. And make sure it's visually appealing. Like, it's just, people want an experience. We talked about value, trust, and experience. Experience is really important. So put yourself in the shoes of your audience. For Facebook and Instagram stories, we're not getting into the world of Instagram on how to create stories, or Facebook. That's more into the social world. And there are a ton of podcasts and video tutorials and things out there, because these change all the time. Just when I think I know how to do stories, which is very current, which is now, or newsfeed or anything in Facebook, they've changed it. But I do want to make sure that you are constantly learning. Find a resource, find a podcast, find something where, or even on the original place, Instagram and Facebook have a lot of resources. And then get out there and try it, do it, see what's working and what's not working. But always think customer-centric first, not what you like. What do your customers want to see? So the tools that these guys have left to create stories are great, and it's really a focus. Make sure you think about polls. Polls are something that people can get interactive with, that your visuals are up there. They don't have to be great and perfect. Be consistent. Don't share too many stories, because there is a point where people ask, well, how often do I create content on social media? There's a sweet spot, and you have to test it, what works the best for your community. Once a day, is it once a week? Whatever you commit to, just be consistent with that. But be careful that you don't overly inundate your audience with too many stories or too much, or you can turn them off. So you're going to have to monitor that as you go along. Use hashtags are there. When you mention people, they get notified. It's another good way to get engagement. There's countdowns, there's temperature, you name it. Just go in and check it out. Video is really important. Just make sure that your video is in the right way, that it formats properly. You can actually create video and then upload it, so you don't have to be live. You can do long, short. There's a lot of rules out there on what works the best, or guidelines, and what doesn't. And then Facebook and Instagram have their own rules. So definitely check that out. And then here was just an example I did show previously. It was a question about how do you take notes? Do you do it on a computer? And there's a place where people can answer. And then you can add some flashy things, and then stickers. Stickers are fun. And then what I like about Facebook compared to Instagram is there is a place to add a call to action. Instagram doesn't have that. It doesn't want to take you off the platform. Facebook does give you a call to action. So you can say, hey, check out this blog and read more for that. So go in, play around with the platform, look into experts. Socialmediaexaminer.com is one of my favorites, and they have a whole bunch of how-tos. And I'm going to show it to you in a podcast on how you find their podcast. But there's a lot of thought leaders out there to learn those tips and tricks. But be out there, be consistent, make sure you're on brand. And that's where the plan is really important here, because you want to make sure that every time you post something, it's either going to get you a lead, it's going to engage with your community, or it's going to support your brand. So please make sure the key takeaway from today, I hope, is going to be that you need to have some type of plan. So if you're going to write a blog, there's a bunch of tips on how to do that. You want to have a good headline. It's a hook. That's what Google's going to find. That's what's going to hook in your audience. Then you're going to always have a feature image. Please always have a good feature image, because that can be used as you do your micro content across for consistency, but it's also supported by Google search. And then you know that people scan, right? So they'll scan the headlines. So make sure the headlines make sense. If you pulled out all the paragraphs and you just had headlines, does it take you through your story? And then make sure your paragraphs use bullets. Bullets, people love to scan bullets. It's a good thing too. And then you tie it up at the end. And this is where we talked about the links, internal and external. It will help support the SEO for your page, but it also gives people extra resources to stay on your website. So it's like, oh, okay, I can learn more, or I can go to this. And then eventually it's going, oh, okay, you actually support that service? That's wonderful. I need to hire you. So some of the calls to action on a blog could be, hey, just subscribe. I want to learn more. Contact me. Download this page. Those are just some of the call to action, which is the goal of what you want them to do when they've landed on this page. Another question is, what is the right blog length? I looked all over to find out the answer to this. There is a blog there that's worth reading. And most importantly is just know your audience. If you are technical and you're a B2B and there's a lot of information, put it out there. There's thoughts that sometimes long is better, short is better. Just make sure it's relevant to your audience and that you're getting the right information across. And doesn't seem to want to move. There we go. So if you're really interested in blogs, and quite a few of you were, I have on my blog how to blog. Whoop. And so there's some simple steps to success. Is, again, you're going to create a plan. So every time you have your marketing plan, your strategy, you have your annual plan, maybe you have your every 3 months plan, but then you have every time you do a piece of content, you want to create a mini plan. And that can just be in your head. It can be just a quick jot down of notes, but you need to know why you're going to spend the time to create this large piece of content. Maybe you're doing a digital download, and it takes a long time to find the content, to brand that download, to have it edited, to package it, to upload it, to do all of this. And you're going, oh my goodness, it's a lot of work. So if you're going to spend that much time doing something or a large article, you want to make sure you know why you're doing it. So even a blog in a very much smaller sense, you want to know why you're doing it. Write an outline, do some research, write the blog, create the visuals, post the blog, and then you have to promote it. And that promotion can include those micro pieces of blog, which could be I'm sharing it out on Facebook. I'm going out on a forum and I'm going to answer questions. Go, hey, I found this out. Maybe I'm on LinkedIn. And then I'm going to promote it to some people that have been asking me how to write a blog. Maybe I'm going to add it into a webinar to share with people, to be a resource to them so they can learn how to write a blog. So these are the reasons why I'm going to spend the time to do this. So I do encourage you, check out this. There is a much larger, there's the blog itself, but then there's a free download. So case studies. I want to see more of you using case studies. This is really important in showcasing the work you've done. And I'm sure many of you, unless you're in that early startup stage, but many times in the business planning world, and that is my background, is business planning before I got into communications, it's about getting that first customer. Because once you get that first customer, now I can showcase what I've done. And I can show testimonials. I can go out to someone else who's similar and go, hey, look what I've done. Would you be interested? And then they get a chance to review it and go, do I like this, or do I want to work with them? Do I not want to work with them? This is a really opportunity. So if you have these case studies sitting out there and you haven't published them, consider it as part of your content plan. And these are just some of the things to consider. It's just a template. And once you do one, it's much easier to do others. So have a feature image, a title, the background of your client, so you get to showcase your client too, right? You're going to link off to the client's website, so now you've just given them a backlink. So there's some incentive there. Challenges they had, why they chose you, and the solution that you provided for them. Testimonials, internal link, make sure these are some of the things you can do, external links, and then any supporting rich content. So here is, and then there was a slide share. Quite often you can embed the slide share into your website. You can embed videos, and then a call to action. Hey, if this is similar to you. There's also a link in here. So once they've read through this, solar control window film is what they put on. This has a link to more information about solar control window film. So now you've just given them information if they're interested to potentially purchase solar control window film. And within their website, they also have a, hey, come and get me for a free quote. This is just an example. Was there a question, Amanpreet, about, just shout out if there's any questions, let me know.
Oh, yep. So there was a question about, do I need permission from the people who I'm doing a case study on?
If you want pictures, which I would say you probably want pictures of the work you've done, yes. I would say if it's just work, I always err on the side of caution and asking for permission to do this, especially when it's out there and it's private stuff. They don't necessarily want this all out there. Most people want a shout out, so I would ask them, would be my answer to this, and then let them know that you're going to link back to them, and you're going to be asking for a testimonial anyways, which is what is the real strength in a case study. So at that time, let them know. In my experience doing many case studies, I have not had anyone say no. It's relationship building, so I do encourage you to communicate with them to get their permission and get a testimonial for sure. Okay, hopefully that added that in. Another little tip, if you do use WordPress and some of the other platforms, what you can do is create a category, create these as blogs, create a category called case studies, and that case studies can be found through your blogging platform, but you can also create an entire page called case studies, which will actually pull all those case studies into one page, and that is the power of a program, a platform like WordPress or any other blogging platform. So just a quick tip to make your user experience better and easier to find. Podcasts, huge. They are not new, but oh my goodness, definitely nowadays is something to consider. Heavy resource. So you do, and time commitment. And this is where, when you do plan those macro strategies, pick what you can handle, because you want to be consistent. So if podcasts, you've realized it's something you want to do, it's relevant to your audience. Same with video, like a video series. It's the same idea. It's a little more resource heavy. Check these guys out. Social Media Examiner, the podcast is at the bottom. And I listen to his stuff almost daily because he has some amazing speakers on there. There are a lot more out there. I'm just putting this out there to show you an example of doing that. And there are people are doing downloads, checklists, how to do podcasts beyond there. You can even check out if you are looking for downloads, and this is something you can consider doing for yourself, as well as going to get information on it. Even platforms like Etsy or places that have product that you can sell is where you can put your downloads. Some people charge $5 a download. Some people charge $10 a download. So there's so many strategies for large content that if you spend the time, you can actually create an ongoing extra revenue stream from things like downloads. So the point with that is that go out there and learn about podcasts, but when you go to spend $1, $5, $10 to learn, it doesn't cost a lot to learn that. Remember, you could be the one doing these downloads as well, if it makes sense for your business again. So an infographic is so much fun. And we have 10 minutes, and I'm going to run through these. But oh my goodness, so this is from all of you who registered. Well, it was from a couple days ago, so I missed out on a few of you. But this is the results from that registration. And we have 41% people signed up as of 2 days ago, and thinking about starting 23 are currently operating, and 6 don't plan to open a business. Oh, okay. So that's much better showing it in a visual, right, than it is if I just told it to you or sent it to you in a spreadsheet. Most of your professional services, why did I do this? Why do we ask those questions? So as I was going through the content, I will make sure that I speak to that B2B community who are professional services, because the majority of you are. And then next one is retail, which is why I created a retail example. So this is really important information to share out. And it's in visual, right? And more than 33% of you are Facebook users. And many of you are LinkedIn. And some of you who have been doing this a long time and are committed to Twitter might go, oh, wow, there's not too many people out here using Twitter. Why am I spending so much time using Twitter? And a large percentage of Instagram. But based on the fact that we have mostly professional services here, it's not surprised that LinkedIn and Instagram are pretty close. But what does surprise me a little bit still is most of you are still on Facebook. So you may be a professional services, however, you may not be leveraging Facebook for your business. But the point of all of this is that it's a way to visualize data that is now content. And how did I do that? I did it on Canva. So Canva is a free resource, and I've talked about this before, and I'm going to show you some snapshots of how to create Canva. I can't go in and actually do a project. It would take too long, but it is so user-friendly. Check it out. I tell you, their free version is good, but their paid version, which isn't a lot of money, is really good, and I'm going to tell you why. So they have a bunch of templates, like a bunch, and it continues to grow. They have a whole community of designers. And if you ever want to look into the background of Canva, it's a startup, a young woman startup out of Australia. Quite a story. So if you want inspiration of being an entrepreneur, check her out. So templates you have for all platforms. So if you don't know what size and what's optimal for what platform, use Canva. You upload your brand images, you pick your brand colors, because we talked about consistency with brand, and it's all there at your fingertips. So no matter what platform you're designing for, it's all there, and you have a way to be consistent. And you can copy and duplicate, which is nice for ease of use. And they have a good mobile app too. So Infographic Templates, I'm not sure if I actually started with a template. I've been using Canva a long time, so I quite often don't. But if you are starting out, templates are a great place to start. Instagram story templates, right? Because you can add things in, and if nothing else, it'll give you some ideas. But it's there at your fingertips for whenever you want to use Instagram. So here's an example of something we just did, our Starter Company Plus program. Please check it out. And these are some of the graphics we did. We have a music stream and we have a general stream. So what I did, with the paid version, we have stock photos available. You can upload your own photos. You can layer. They give you different examples even within this. I have created, I can't remember what size this was when I did it. Could have been for Facebook. And then we have our logos already in there, and we drag it over. So and that from there, because it's the paid version, you can actually copy and put it into and resize it is what it's called. And it's only available to paid. And so now I have all the images, everything there, and I was able to make a Facebook story. So it's much easier to stay consistent. Here's another example of how having Canva is a good idea, or something similar. You might want to use Illustrator or Photoshop. There's so many other ones out there, but this is one that I know has that free version. So we do talk about it, but it is not a promotion of Canva. It's just look for the tools that work and then leverage it. And this is how you can leverage it to have great content. So this was created for an ad as an example. So do you have a small business question? We can help. It's just promoting our small business center. And what I did, and is really important in advertising, is to do A/B testing. So I created a duplicate, changed out the image. And so when you do A/B testing, you only change out one thing at a time so you know what's working. So having a program like Canva lets you instantly create different graphics for A/B testing. And video tips, we probably are going to go a little longer today, but I'm going to give you some quick tips on videos because videos are so important right now. Know first what it is you're going to use it for, and that means the platform too, right? So that will determine your quality, your length, and your style. Know why you're going to do it. We talked about in the strategy. Know what channel you're going to use it for. Is it going to be vertical? Is it going to be portrait? Are you going to do it live or are you going to record it? Make sure you promote, if it's live, that you promote the launch of that. And you're ready to promote the video afterwards if it's a pre-recorded, because you want to drive traffic to it. Organic or paid. Create a storyboard and script. Make sure you consider lighting, audio. Find the best time to go live if you're going to go live. Know when your audience is up. If you're doing live entertainment music and most people are used to Saturday night hanging out, I want to do something, do your musical performance on a Saturday night or a Friday night because that's what your audience is used to. That's just an example, but do your own research. Respond to comments in the video and add links in the comments. So when you do a video on YouTube, you know how you always say, hey, if you like it, subscribe, and you can point down to it. So know the logistics of where it's going to be posted so that you can make sure when you're doing the recording that you're going to do this. So we are going to have this out and posted. It will be embedded into our website, but it's also going to be on a video platform. So it's one of those things that check out the comments below so that you can get a link to more information in upcoming webinars so that you can point it down. So those are all kind of tips. You want to know what kind of video length for what platform. Here's a page that just gives you some guidelines on different platforms and what works the best, or what are the rules, because there is limitations on the length of time that you can even do on certain platforms. And then there's certain types of videos that have ideas as well. So if you're doing a video ad, short and sweet. If you're doing an explainer video about your business, it can be a little longer. If you're doing a tutorial, under 6 minutes. But I also know that people that are putting out educational videos have an hour and a half, different things like that. I mean, this is going to be more than an hour and a half, but that will be a larger resource. So just know who your audience is, know what your purpose is. And when you're advertising, make sure you do one goal, clear call to action, make sure it's memorable. You got a split second. Create a landing page, and we talked about that before. Make sure that when you have that call to action from the advertisement, it goes directly to something that instantly what you're advertising makes sense. I know what I can get, and I know how to purchase it. And then A/B test it. Put some small budget against it, test it, and then reinvest it. And this is where really important for pretty much all our social media platforms when it comes to that. You have to let it run long enough and then see what works, and then invest more to the ones that do. So start small, test, and invest. And there's different kinds. And honestly, check out Instagram ads, check out Facebook ads. There are so many tips actually on the platform themselves to show you what you can do. There's carousel ads and why to do it. Carousel ads are when you have multiple pictures. Quite often it's to sell product. There's slideshow ads that is very photo, if that makes sense, if you're in tourism or you're in the food business, where it's very focused on visuals that inspire me to get out there and do that. And I can see myself snowboarding. It's like, oh yeah, snow's coming, winter's coming, I want to get out there. And then it's, hey, we got an early snowboard sale. So that could be something that you do. That's not this company because it seems to be a tourism company. But learning more can be a building awareness campaign. And then single image ads are easy. So if you're just getting started and you're not sure, even though video ads are probably the most impactful, just put out a single image ad and see how it does. Keep it less text. You can add movement quite on in the visuals sometimes. Canva Even if we go back to that, there is a way to export it as a video. So if you're building something in there, there's a video format that you can do where there's text moving. So great content, key takeaways. Make sure that you know what your return on investment is. And what is that? Is how much resource is it going to take me? How long can that resource stay up and stay published? I have a white paper on my site about how to do a communications audit. It's not that I do anything with it because I don't do my services anymore, but it consistently gets downloads. The longevity is incredible. So take that resource. How long did it take me to do it? How long can it stay up? How far did the reach go? And then what kind of engagement? All of that you have to take into account when it comes to your content return on investment. And make sure your content aligns with your buyer's journey. So we talked about the funnel, but also within that funnel, it's the user experience. So if you want them to land on your web page, go to a blog, go to a product, and then purchase, all that content has to be thought through for the buyer's journey as well as the funnel, and then how are you going to keep them on. Leverage your own channels first. It's free, and you own the content, the brand is consistent, and then supplement that with paid to help reach your audience, and then know what success looks like. Remember, we talked about sometimes it's about lead generation, sometimes it's about building brand awareness, and sometimes it's just about engaging with your community and building them up and supporting them and growing them. Know what that success looks like. Set some clear goals about what you want to achieve, and then manage it, measure it, and adapt. And get the right team on board. Yes, you might be starting, but there's so many free resources out there, including MBEC, and get that right team that fits for you just in time. It can be a long relationship with a person if you can find a trusted advisor, or maybe you have someone who manages your social media. Quite often they have other talents, like they will do video ads, or they can do write content, or they'll know someone. Find that person who knows, because it takes a while to trust them to build out your brand and manage your brand, even though you're overseeing it. But that is golden. That can take you far, and it can help you scale, and then you can slowly build that team, bringing in just-in-time freelancers or specialists to do what needs to be done. Know what you can do and know what resources are available. And be a resource first and foremost without promoting, especially during this time of COVID. This is where you need to know what is it that your clients, your audience is looking for, and how you can be a resource, and then make sure you promote them. Like, make sure you promote your product and services. Don't forget about that. It's still really important, because that's why they're there. They want to support brands that are giving them value, and they trust and they believe in you. So 75% is a guideline, but use that as a general rule, and be a resource, and then let them know about your products as well and services. And create content. Great content is relevant, it's consistent, it's persuasive, and absolutely needs to be memorable.